So let's go ahead and keep going through this document, okay? Okay, Kyle Miani was an LMPD sergeant who supervised the PBI unit. He had been employed as LMPD officer since 2013. Joshua James was a detective in the PBI unit who, as of early 2020, had worked at LMPD for approximately 15 years, okay? On March 12, 2020, PBI, using affidavits sworn by Joshua James and approved by Kyle Miani, obtained warrants to search 5 properties. These included 4 properties in Louisville's West End neighborhood that were allegedly used in drug trafficking, as well as Taylor's home at 3003 Springfield Ave, apartment 4, the Springfield apartment. Let's go ahead and hit some highlights. The primary target of the investigation was JG. The JG, guys, is Jamarcus Glover, by the way. It's funny how they don't put that in the. They don't want to put the full name. A man who had been previously arrested for committing drug offenses. Joshua James and Kyle Miani knew that the affidavit used to obtain the warrant to search Taylor's home contained information that was false, misleading, and out of date. The affidavit omitted material information, and the officers lacked probable cause for this search. Joshua James and Kyle Miani knew that the execution of the search warrant would be carried out by armed LMPD officers and could create a dangerous situation both for those officers and for anyone who happened to be in Taylor's home. On March 13, 2020, at approximately 12:45 a.m., LMPD officers who had not been involved in drafting the search warrant and who were unaware of the false statements contained therein executed the warrant at Taylor's home, which we broke that guys down earlier when I showed you guys the NYP, the New York Times visualization. When those officers broke down the door to the apartment, a guest in Taylor's home, KW, who was Kenneth Walker, her boyfriend, believing that intruders were breaking in, immediately fired one shot with a handgun that he lawfully possessed, hitting the first officer at the door. 2 LMPD officers immediately fired a total of 22 shots in the apartment, and one of those shots hit Taylor in the chest. A third officer moved from the doorway to the side of the apartment and fired 10 more shots through a window and a sliding glass door, which were covered with blinds and curtains. And that was Hankinson, guys, who I showed you guys this picture earlier. Taylor died from the gunshot wound to her chest. Okay, so they go here. The grand jury further charges count 1. Okay, deprivation of rights under color of law. So let me break this down, guys. What they went after these police officers for were civil rights violations, okay? And typically this is what happens with public officials, police officers, etc. They go after them for civil rights whenever there's a blunder like this to this degree where people are hurt, people are killed, or rule of color of law is used to commit crimes or, falsify records, whatever it may be. So since they were acting under the color of law, and there were police officers employed as police officers at the time, the feds could come after them for civil rights violations, okay? On or about March 12, 2020, in the Western District of Kentucky, Joshua James and Kyle Miani, while acting under the color of law and while aiding and abetting each other and other officers, willfully caused Breonna Taylor, deprived of the right secured and protected by the Constitution and laws of the United States, to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. And you guys, as you guys know, the Fourth Amendment, protects your right to privacy, obviously. Specifically, Joshua James drafted and swore a warrant affidavit for Taylor's home, knowing that the warrant would be executed by other armed LMPD officers and knowing at the time that the affidavit contained false and misleading statements, omitted material information, relied on stale information, was not supported by probable cause. Kyle Miani approved the warrant affidavit for Taylor's home, knowing that the warrant would be executed by other LMPD officers and knowing at the time that the affidavit contained false and misleading statements. So, guys, what do they mean by this? Like James and Miani, etc. So James, guys, more than likely was the case officer on this investigation, okay? He was the main case officer. Miani was a supervisor. Anytime you write a report, a search warrant, whatever it may be, you got to give it to your supervisor first. Then they're like, all right, this is good. Then you send it over to the judge to get signed, okay? So that's why they're going after Miani as well as Joshua James, okay? The offense involved in using the use of a dangerous weapon resulted in Taylor's death, all in violation of Title 18 United States Code, Section 242 and B. Okay. Charge 2, beginning no later than in or around April 2020 and continuing until in or around June 2022 in the Western District of Kentucky and elsewhere, Joshua James knowingly and willfully conspired, okay, and agreed with KG and others known and unknown to the grand jury to commit offenses against the United States, specifically 1, to knowingly falsify a document with the intent to impede, obstruct, and influence the investigation and proper administration of a matter within the jurisdiction of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Okay, the FBI did this investigation, guys, so that's why they're referring to them. A federal agency in violation of Title 18 U.S.C. 1519 and to knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to hinder, delay, and prevent the communication of information to federal law enforcement. Okay? Officer and judge relating to the commission of a possible commission of a federal offense in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1512. Okay? So now they're going to go ahead and talk about the matter and means and object of the conspiracy. Okay, guys. And for the purposes of the U.S. Conspiracy, guys, when it comes to the feds, the conspiracy is nothing more than an agreement made between two or more persons to commit a crime and then an overt act to commit said crime. Okay. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and rob a bank. Okay. I agree with a couple of the mods in the chat, right? I Yves Simonis and Karan Kaur, Agent Fit, I conspire with them to rob a bank. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to go rob this bank. All right, cool. We're going to go do it. Right. So I go ahead and I get a getaway car. Right. Agent Fit gets some masks and gloves. Yves Simonis procures a gun and Karan gets a money counter. Right. Technically, we all committed overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy. So let's say the police stop us on the way to the bank as we're going there with our masks and shit like that. And they're like, oh, what the fuck? And they find out our plot to rob the bank. Well, we can all go down for conspiracy simply because we went ahead and took overt action to commit the bank robbery, guys, okay? That is a conspiracy in the eyes of the government, all right? Okay. Let's see here. Yeah. FBI, open up! And the next thing you know, the FBI is at your house, right? The object of the conspiracy was to cover up the fact that the Springfield Drive warrant affidavit was false, misleading, stale, and unsupported by probable cause by 1, submitting a false investigative letter, and 2, making false statements to criminal investigators. It was part of the manner and means of the conspiracy for Joshua Janes and KG. By the way, KG, guys, is this chick right here, Kelly Goodlett, which we're going to talk about her in a second, all right? But that's what they're talking about. All right. She's the female police officer. All right. So for the conspiracy for Joshua Janes and Kelly Goodlett to adopt, repeat, and expand upon the Springfield Drive warrant affidavit's false and misleading claims in an official investigative letter that they provided to criminal investigators on or about May 1st, 2020. Okay. So they basically went ahead and lied about the probable cause in the affidavit, all right, to strengthen it up in May when they were going through their internal affairs investigation. It was further part of the manner and means of the conspiracy for Joshua Janes and Kelly Goodlett to call, text, and meet with each other to discuss the false information in Springfield Drive warrant affidavit and to coordinate their false cover story in an attempt to escape responsibility for their roles in preparing the warrant affidavit that contained false information. It was further part of the manner and means of the conspiracy for Joshua Janes to contact other officers and pressure them to provide support for the false information in the Springfield Drive warrant affidavit. It was further part of the manner and means of the conspiracy for Joshua Janes and KG to make false and misleading statements during the interviews with criminal investigators. All right. So they basically lied to internal affairs investigators and potentially the FBI. Now, here's the overt acts, guys. And the overt act, like I told you before, I described it to you guys. It's an act to further the conspiracy. All right. So they're going to go ahead and talk about the actual overt acts that these police officers took to actually bring the conspiracy to fruition. All right. In furtherance of the conspiracy and to accomplish its objectives, Joshua Janes and his conspiracy committed the following overt acts, among others. Okay. Remember, guys, Joshua Janes is the guy that actually wrote the affidavit. All right. As you guys can see here, this is his affidavit right here. All right. In or about April or May 2020, after the March 13, 2020 shooting of Breonna Taylor, Joshua Janes called JM, a fellow LMPD officer, to try to get JM to say that he had previously told Joshua Janes that JG had received packages at Taylor's apartment. In fact, JM had told Joshua Janes in or around January 2020, they had no information showing that JG received packages at Taylor's apartment. And during the post-shooting call in April or May 2020, JM again told Joshua Janes that he was unaware of any information that JG had received packages at Taylor's apartment. Okay, so this is very important, guys, because in the affidavit, okay, this is the affidavit that he actually wrote and swore to, okay, right here. Where is the packages? This is his affidavit right here. Let's see. So he talks about, let me hit a control F real quick. Packages. Was right here. Is page 135. All right, so let's go back. See, I hate state search warrants, guys, because they're never written well. It's like 1, 2, 3, and it's all like, oh man. This search warrant is giving me a headache just from looking at it. Well, y'all can see it. This is the affidavit, right? It's in there somewhere. And you guys may be able to find it faster than me. But let's keep going. All right. After having been told by 2 officers from Shively Police Department in April 2020 that JG had not received packages at Taylor's home. Oh, JG, guys, by the way, is Jamarcus Glover. All right. Joshua Janes wrote in an investigative letter that he had verified through JM of LMPD, who had contacted the Postal Service, that JG had been receiving packages at 3003 Springfield Drive, apartment number 4. Okay. And that is going to be right. Let's see here. Okay. Well, let me highlight this. God damn it. So you guys can see poll camera. Detective observed Adrian O. Walker in cooperation. Nope. Possession of firearm. No. So they saw him with the car. These are his pending cases. Line 6. Okay, so Affian has conducted surveillance multiple times on site near the physical location. Okay. Affian has verified through multiple computer databases that Breonna Taylor lives at 3003 Springfield Drive, number 4. Affian verified through multiple computer databases that as of February 2020, Jamarcus Glover uses 3003 Springfield Drive, number 4 as his current home address. Mr. J. Glover and Mr. Walker are acquaintances that have been seen going to and from 2024 Elliott Avenue. That's one of the houses that was actually searched, by the way, guys. Affian verified through a U.S. Postal Inspector that Jamarcus Glover has been receiving packages at 3003 Springfield Drive, number 4. Affian knows through training experience that it is not uncommon for drug traffickers to receive mail packages at different locations to avoid detection from law enforcement. Affian believes through training experience that Mr. J. Glover may be keeping narcotics and or proceeds from sales of narcotics at 3003 Springfield Drive, number 4 for safekeeping. Now, that's from line number 9, okay? So here, in the indictment, what the FBI clearly did here was the FBI went ahead probably and interviewed that postal inspector. Okay, JM is probably the initials of the postal inspector that Joshua Janes claimed he spoke to. Okay, so oh no, sorry, no. JM is a fellow LMPD officer. So he tried to get him to say that he had previously told Joshua Janes that Jamarcus Glover had received packages at Taylor's apartment. Yeah, okay. So after, so he was basically trying to get one of the officers on the team to verify that, even though that's not what happened. Okay, and then I showed you guys the part in his affidavit that was off. After having been told by 2 officers from Shively Police Department in April 2020 that JG had not received packages at Taylor's home, Joshua Janes wrote in an investigative letter that he had verified through JM of LMPD, who contacted the Postal Service, that JG had been receiving packages at 3003 Springfield Drive, number 4. And we just read that on a paragraph. That was paragraph 9, if I'm not, no. Paragraph, 9, right here. Boom. Okay. In or around April 2020, Joshua Janes and KG included in the investigative letter the misleading claim that a detective was able to verify through clear law enforcement database that as of February 20th, 2020, JG used 3003 Springfield Drive as his residence. Joshua Janes and KG both knew at the time that this statement was misleading because, as they knew, JG did not live at 3003 Springfield Drive in February 2020. Okay, and this right here, guys, is right here. Okay, Affian verified through multiple computer databases that as of February 20th, 2020, Jamarcus Glover uses 3003 Springfield Drive as his current home address. Okay, so the FBI went back and was like, "Hey, no, that's not true, man. You cap." All right. All right. From on or about April 11, 2020 through on or about May 1st, 2020, KG reviewed a draft of the investigative letter, this is Kelly Goodlett, sent to her by Joshua Janes containing the claim that JM had verified that JG had received packages at Taylor's residence. Knowing that the statement was false, KG failed to change the statement or object to it. KG later sent a letter which included this false statement. Okay, so that's how they got Kelly Goodlett, this chick right here, who ended up snitching, which I'm going to show you guys how I know that she snitched. All right. She was the one that probably cooperated and got these two guys in trouble significantly. On or about May 1st, 2020, Joshua James and KG signed and submitted the investigative letter that they had jointly drafted about PBI's investigation that led to the search warrants that were served on March 13, 2020. At the time, Joshua James and Kelly Goodlett knew that the letter contained false and misleading information that purported to link Breonna Taylor to Jamarcus Glover, and the letter omitted information that would have undermined the claim of an ongoing connection between Taylor and JG. On or about May 17, 2020, after media outlets, but it is true, though, they were 100% boyfriend and girlfriend, and that was proven in the investigation. However, they didn't show, right? They didn't show the stuff that could have potentially been exculpatory, okay, which you're supposed to do that. On or about May 17, 2020, after media outlets reported that a postal inspector had announced that JG had not received packages at Taylor's residence, as alleged in a Springfield Drive warrant affidavit, and on May 1st, 2020, investigator Joshua James texted JG that a criminal investigator wanted to meet with him the following day and arranged to meet with KG in Joshua James' garage that night. Ooh, okay, so this is where shit starts getting crazy, all right? So now the walls are closing in, right? So postal inspector, right? Because he puts in his affidavit, oh, I verified through a postal inspector, such and such, right? Right here. Verified through a postal inspector that Jamarcus Glover had been receiving packages at 3003 Springfield Drive. So on May 17th, right? Obviously, guys, remember, this case took a whole bunch of crazy shit happened. So the Postal Inspection Service is like, hell no, we didn't give this guy this information, right? And they said Jamarcus Glover had not received packages at Taylor's address as alleged in the Springfield Drive warrant affidavit. And on May 1st, investigative letter, Joshua James texted Kelly Goodlett that a criminal investigator wanted to meet with him following the day and arranged to meet with KG in Joshua James' garage that night. When Joshua and Kelly Goodlett manned the garage on the evening of May 17, 2020, Joshua James relayed to Kelly that they needed to get on the same page because they could both go down for putting false information in the Springfield Drive warrant. During a meeting in the garage, Joshua James and KG agreed to tell investigators a false story, claiming that JM had told them in January 2020 that JG was receiving packages at Taylor's home. So this is where they were stupid. On or about May 19, 2020, 2 days after the garage meeting, Joshua James falsely claimed to investigators with LMPD's Public Integrity Unit, which, by the way, that's their internal affairs, okay? In January 2020, JM had told him and KG nonchalantly that your guy, JG, just gets Amazon or mail packages there at Taylor's home. So he's trying to downplay it. On or about August 12, 2020, KG falsely told investigators with the Kentucky Office of the Attorney General in January 2020, JM in passing had told KG and Joshua James that he verified JG was getting packages there at Taylor's home. On or about June 14, 2022, during an interview with agents with the FBI, Joshua James falsely claimed that in January 2020, JM made a nonchalant comment that JG was getting mail or Amazon packages at Taylor's home, all in violation of Title 18, United States Code Section 371. So you guys see here, they met in the garage, and then after they met in the garage, they lied to investigators and they concealed stuff, okay, from the affidavit. That's what got them hit with the conspiracy, okay? Let's see how many likes we at here, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying this because nobody's going to read affidavits with, like, indictments with you guys and give you guys this much detail. So I need you guys to like the video. Let me look here where we're at because I need to get the engagement up. We got 1,500 y'all in here right now. So like the video, guys, because we got how many? We got 853. Guys, do me a quick favor. All you got to do, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Obviously, preparing these cases, guys, takes a lot of time. Very tiring. I haven't slept much. Had a tough time at the gym. And all I ask is that you guys like the video. You don't have to donate $1 to the show. Okay. I genuinely do enjoy doing these videos for you guys so you guys can kind of get an insight as to how criminal investigations are done. And I'm going to drop a documentary for y'all on Tuesday on the FBI shootout from 1986 because I know you guys have been asking for that. Okay. So count 3, falsification of records in federal investigation. On or about May 1st, 2020 in the Western District in Kentucky, Joshua James acting in relation to and in contemplation of a matter within the jurisdiction of the FBI. Okay, knowingly falsified a document with the intent to impede and obstruct and influence the investigation and proper administration of that matter. James Moss falsified an investigative letter, which he knew would be used in criminal investigation into the preparation and execution of the Springfield Drive warrant at Breonna Taylor's home by including false and misleading statements about the connection between Taylor and alleged drug trafficking and by omitting material information that undermined the claim of an ongoing investigation. Okay. On or about May 7th, and then this is it's count 4, false statements of federal investigators. On or about May 17, 2022, in the Western District of Kentucky, Kyle Miani knowingly and willfully made a materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement and representation matter within the jurisdiction of the FBI. Specifically, he falsely told an FBI agent that a paragraph requesting authority to make no-knock entry at Taylor's home was included in the Springfield Drive warrant affidavit because officers at LMPD SWAT unit had, during a planned meeting on or about March 5th, 2020, asked for no-knock authority at that location. In truth and in fact, Kamiani knew that SWAT did not ask PBI to request no-knock entry at the Springfield Drive apartment 4. Oh, man, this fucking... These guys are tripping all over themselves, getting themselves in trouble, all in violation of Title 18 United States Code Section 1001. 1001, guys, is one of the easiest charges to hit you with. It's false statements, okay? And the paragraph that they're talking about in particular, guys, is this one right here. Affiant is requesting a no-knock entry of the premises due to the nature of how these drug traffickers operate. These drug traffickers have a history of attempting to destroy evidence, have cameras on location that compromise the detectives once an approach to the dwelling is made, and have a history of fleeing from law enforcement. See, this part is actually true because when I read the rest of the case file, they were, trying to flush drugs. They had guns at the houses. They had cameras. This is what I'm talking about when I said these detectives just did sloppy police work and were fucking lazy. Okay, lazy. All right, and ended up getting them in fucking trouble. And then this guy Kamiani lied. All right, the supervisor, and said, "Yo, the SWAT team wanted a no-knock warrant." The answer is no, my friend, and you lied to the FBI when you went over and did that in that interview. Ended up getting charged, okay? So now they're looking at count one, no more than life, $250,000 bond, no more than 5-year supervised release, okay? And this is what they're looking at here. And then 18 U.S.C. 31031, 3013. So these are just the charges, guys, and what they carry. Now let's go ahead and look at the girl, all right?